Hey all, and this is the Robbery on Rails event. This is a Fire Slayer event and Noble Killer. So I have only made up a few teams this time around. I'm not planning on spending too much time on this event. I don't really enjoy Slayer, so that's the three teams I've made up. I may also use my Water Slayer team that you've seen in previous videos. I know the enemies are Earth, but it will still do reasonable damage. Anyway, let's talk through these teams. So the idea behind this team is to get Blitzkrieg beasts to do as much damage as possible. So first of all, the idea is to use high performance unit area to get supercharged up. You can see here, increase Immortal Killer attack by 2500%, used in plenty of previous events. Then after that, use Metaverse Masters. Gives the next hero to use their battle skill a 150% damage buff. Then use Blitzkrieg Beasts immediately after that. This is the card I'm trying to boost up, as I mentioned. Old battle skill, but 6 pink stars, 5 times awakening. Always makes it good. And then Heretic Hunters to convert all the dark gems to fire. You can see here converts all non-fire power gems to fire power gems. That's the reason why it's on the team. Then finally, Clandestine Clan. This is the ultimate form for Fire Slayer that has Noble Killer on it. My most modern one that I have. But there we go, that's the team I'm probably going to be using as my main hitting team for Umbrals. I'm just going to change around the order of this team just to make it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, I think this is the best order. Then it's basically just, after using high performance unit area, a left to right team. The ultimate form here only has the lead skill for Noble Killer heroes, so I kind of needed to swap that around as well. Anyway, let's move on to the relics. The Dark Relic here is to break the shields. It breaks 4 Noble Shield plus 1 per Dark Commander Ultimate hero, so that's 5 shields for that relic. Then just my best relics with 1 more Shield Breaker relic near the end. We also have Raised Staff. I like this because of its percentage increase to attack. There we go, and here's the final Shield Breaker relic for the Noble Shields. But yeah, that's the main hitting team, I think, out of my Fire Slayer cards. It's not going to be super effective, as these cards are pretty old, but it will probably do around 10Q, maybe slightly more, what I'm hoping anyway. So this is something else you can try, a team based around Arcane Killer instead. It uses a similar principle to the previous team. I will go left to right. Circuit Break Hilaria, used to boost up Arcane Killer attack, you can see here. Then Metaverse Masters, this is used to boost up Bonafide Brawlers. You can see here, this is quite an old card, but it's the best Arcane Killer Fire Slayer card I have. If you have something better to replace this card, you could use that instead. Then Heretic Hunters again to convert the Dark Gems to fire. Then my old Noble Ultimate Form Clandestine Clan. If you have better cards, something like this should work really well. My Fire Slayer cards are really old, so I can't make up anything too exciting. But I have also made up a commander team. This doesn't do too badly actually, sometimes hitting 5 or 6Q on Heretic Hunters. So let's go left to right. Avenging Furies gives the next fire commander to use their battle skill a 200% damage buff, combined with Metaverse Masters with the 150% buff. Both used to boost up Heretic Hunters. has a nice self-damage increase. Then Brothers in Arms increases Fire Commander damage. Altion's New Guard also increases Fire Commander damage. So that's something you could try if you're struggling for ideas. Then the relics for this team. First relic here you can see is an old Chaotic Killer relic. This one here, an Arcane relic. These are all quite high level. My best Fire Commander relics, apart from this one is used to break the shields. Or some of the shields anyway. It breaks 2, and then this relic here breaks 2 Noble Shield, plus 1 per Fire Commander Ultimate Hero on the team. So that's enough to break all the shields for the Umbral bosses. So it's worth noting that ultimates have been removed, so I don't need to make teams that just break the shields like I normally do in Commander. However, the multi-bosses are still here, so you're going to need multiple teams. Making up a mixture of Slayer and Commander teams could be really useful here. But I think the Umbral level multi-bosses are still going to be really difficult unless your teams are extremely strong. So it does look like this could be quite a difficult event. The event Ultimate form looks like the weakest one in the season. You obviously want Fire Slayer heroes with damage boosts. You can also try Supreme Santa since it's a Noble Killer event. This will give a decent boost to Noble Killer attack. You may need another water card to go with that, just to get enough power gems though. Hopefully that gives you a few ideas. It's not an event I really want to focus too much on. I will just get my bosses up to Umbral level and that's about it, I think. So let's move on to the actual event. Here we go. Alright, so here's the actual event. No ultimates, but we do have the multi-bosses occasionally appearing. Oh, just as I say that, one appears. There's not too much I can really do with that, though, as I don't have 5 decent teams ready. These are worth fighting, though, I think, as there's a feature for the multi-bosses. I believe it's in the news feed, but yeah, I'm just going to focus on the Radiant for now. Try and get myself up to Umbral. So I think I'll try all 3 of my teams on this boss just to show you what they can all do. Hopefully you can make better versions of each team yourself. The Commander team was quite useful for levelling up the bosses. This could do reasonable damage actually, plus there's fire gems at the start, enabling me to use all the skills right from the go. The only problem with this team is Metaverse Masters only gets the 1 use, as you can see. 4.7 Q on that though, so not a bad option. After I've done the first attack though, there's not really a huge amount else I can do unless I can get Metaverse Masters back up, and that's very difficult. Chaos as the enemy skill. That was countered. Yeah, this is not really going to work because I can't get Metaverse Masters back up. Without that, the damage is going to be quite low. But yeah, this is a reasonable option for hitting on turn 0. Without that, yeah, it doesn't even do 1 Q. So let's move on to the next team. Alright, I'm going to try with my Circuit Break Hilaria Arcane team. If you have better cards, this should do good damage. Because these are all older cards though, I don't think the damage will be that good. Sometimes you can get it working on turn 0, sometimes you can't. So it's a bit of a strange team. The other problem is getting enough power gems. If you don't get enough power gems, then you kind of have to do something like this in order to get Circuit Break Hilaria up, in which case you have nothing on the board. Occasionally this does work, but yeah, it's quite a tricky team to get working, as you can see, so I'll have another go. Right, attempt number 2. So yeah, this is probably not going to be an option. This time it's active on turn 0 though, so let's go left to right and see how much damage this does. Hopefully it'll do a bit of damage. Let's see. Pay attention to bona fide brawlers. 1.7Q, so not too bad, but as you saw, it's a bit erratic, so not really a good option. Let's move on to my last team. Right, so here we go with my immortal team. This should be the best out of the teams, but we will see. Tricky part might be getting enough fire gems up, though. We shall see. I could do something like this at the start. Then the next turn, use Metaverse Masters. I think it might take a couple of extra turns, though, as I need to get area up. It will work sometimes on turn 0. It depends on what board you get. Right, and now Supercharged is up. Just go left to right with a bit of luck. Pay attention to the damage on Blitzkrieg Beasts. There wasn't many gems on the board, unfortunately, so I'm not sure how much damage this will do. There's no loose gems either, so probably not going to hit very hard. Yeah, only 2.7Q. It can do a lot better than that. The hard part now, though, is obviously getting the dark gems up. And getting supercharged up again, which I'm about to do now. We'll have another go with this. I think it can do 10Q or higher. This is something to try, though. The problem is there's simply not many gems on the board. That should do better than the previous attack, though. There's a couple of loose gems. Yeah, 4.1Q that time around, so I think my water team might actually be better, even though it's earth enemies. I know that sounds weird, but my Fire Slayer teams are just not very good. Or I can just use my commander team. Anyway, this is not an event I'm going to be focusing on too much, so it doesn't really matter too much how much damage I deal. Alright, so moving on to the event rewards. As I already mentioned, I have no plans to play at this event too much. I do have enough season choice coins to get another deck. I will talk about that a bit later on. Let's go ahead and claim all of this. It's Legend Souls again, so basically a complete junk collection. You got the occasional good item in there though, like the gems or the orb of EXP. There we go. There we go. So all of that claimed. Right, I'll go and get my random 6-star hero. You can see here I've almost got enough coins for another deck. I think I need 7 more, which means 2 tier 1s of packs and then a tier 2 as well. I can easily do that with the gems I have available. So let's claim this anyway and see what I get. Oh, that's actually a rather good card to get. And I think I can now upgrade the previous Arcane Ultimate form you saw me using in the video by another pink star. So that's actually a very good result. I need all the stars I can get as my Fire Slayer cards are really old. So there we go, that's 3 pink stars on this card now. Nice, I'm very happy with that. A very good pull from the random 6-star hero. Now, what is it this time around? I'm kind of expecting a vanguard. I think it might be. I read there was meant to be a skill that blocks out the other cards from being used, but I'm not sure if it's on here. I know it's on the multi-boss enemies. But yeah, the battle skill is kind of weird actually because it's 1 turn cooldown. Defender skill, Gem Silence. That's actually a really strong defender skill. So yeah, this could potentially be a good vanguard to use. Well, as long as you have some sort of earth defense or the hammers for an earth defense. But yeah, I'm quite liking this actually. Of course, you're going to need to upgrade it, and that's going to take a very long time if you want to use it. So something a bit different. We're going to have a look at the decks from this season. I'm not going to rate them from best to worst though. Rather, I'm going to look at each deck and tell you what other cards you need if you want to get this deck. Starting with the Water Slayer deck. This has a decent increase to Water Slayer damage. So if you have a big hitting self-damage card, this is a deck to go for. I'm going to go for this deck with my season choice coins that are left over. It's one of my favourites from the season just because of that big damage buff. Let's have another look at that. Doesn't create too many power gems though. So yeah, you're definitely going to need a big hitting card to go with that. The damage buff though is good, making it one of my favourites from the season. Now for the Dark Commander deck. On paper, this looks like the best deck in the season. However, you do have to be a bit careful with this deck. Increases self-damage by 250%. And then it gives one Dark Commander a 250% self-damage buff. The problem is, it needs to land on your hitting card. So you only have a 1 in 5 chance of this being useful. So if you have a card like Lost Covenant already that has a 300% increase to self-damage, this deck is probably one to avoid. It depends if you like the luck-based factor or not. I personally think it's going to be frustrating though, waiting for the damage buff to land on the card you want it to. In which case, yeah, Lost Covenant is going to be the better choice, as it has a 300% self-damage increase instead. Now moving on to the Earth Slayer deck. This is another solid choice actually. Increases self-damage by 100% and gives the next hero, or should I say Earth Slayer hero, to activate their battle skill a 100% damage buff. So a very versatile deck. Can be used to boost up itself or another card. This makes it one of the best decks in the season again. Probably better than the Water Slayer deck. I think if you like Earth Slayer, this should be one of your top priorities in my opinion. Just because of how versatile it is. So yeah, as long as you have other decent Earth Slayer cards, this is one to go for sure. There we go. And now the Light Commander deck. This is actually a deceptive deck. It doesn't look that good, but it's better than it might appear. There's not many Light Commander decks with damage boosts, so even though it's only 50%, it can stack to 125%. So yeah, it's an interesting deck. Because of the other Light Commander cards, there's only like 2 or 3 that have damage increases. This could be one of the decks that you want to go for. However, there was a really good Light Slayer combination that kind of makes the Light Commander decks useless. So, yeah, it's difficult with this deck. It depends if you can make a better Light Slayer deck than your Light Commander deck, basically. Anyway. The final deck in the season, the Fire Slayer deck from the current event. This one looks alright, but I think it's the weakest deck in the season. Increases self-damage by 75%. Upgrades all fire power gems by 3 ranks. Creates a few fire power gems. Yeah, it's alright, but not very versatile, only really used as a main hitting card. So yeah, this is probably the deck to avoid unless you are really desperate for Fire Slayer cards and want to play this event. That's just my opinion though. You're all free to disagree, of course, but I will definitely be getting the Water Slayer deck. I have decent Water Slayer cards already, and this should make a big difference to that. So let's have a look at the newsfeed to finish off this video. It's not going to be an event that I'm going to do well in. I simply don't have the teams, but it doesn't matter too much. I think the Water Slayer team will be really useful in the next event though, since it's Water Commander. So yeah, getting that Water Slayer ultimate form should be pretty useful with a bit of luck. So here we have the 3 pink star vanguards. Quest for Pavises every week. Oh, new weekly season quests. Okay, so defeating multi-bosses. That may mean you want to hold back on prestiging, but that's kind of your own decision. Frontline reforging sale. The new Vanguard skill knockout. This is what I mentioned earlier on. I thought the Vanguard from the weekly rewards would have that skill, but I couldn't see it. But yeah, that looks like a really dangerous defender skill. And then finally, Slayer Ultimate bosses have been removed, which is always a good thing, I think. They weren't really doing too much. And there we go, that about covers this video. I hope that was helpful. As always, if you do have any questions or suggestions regarding this video, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to help. If you did enjoy this video, leaving a like and subscribing is always appreciated. Thank you to those that have already subscribed. You can check out the previous week's event video on the screen right now. And thanks for watching.